Trump unleashed hell in the Gulf after Oman found itself at the center of a dangerous maneuver with Iran over the Strait of Hormuz. On May 29, 2026, Washington treats the case as a test of loyalty, not as diplomatic noise. The ally that was supposed to help keep the passage open entered into talks with Tehran about navigation, fees, and control of a vital route. And Trump responded with public pressure, threat of sanctions, and a blunt military message. Iran wanted to turn the crisis into political leverage. Oman opened the door for this conversation. Trump put both sides on notice. What was Oman negotiating? Why did Tehran get involved in this move? And what is the insane response that Trump is already sending right now? I'll tell you all about it in a moment. If you like this kind of straightforward and no-nonsense content, consider subscribing because we have videos like this every day. The crisis gained momentum after Trump was questioned at the White House about a possible arrangement in which Iran and Oman would have control over the Strait of Hormuz, charging ships passing through. The response came immediately. The president said that the passage needs to remain open for everyone and warned that no one will control the strait. Soon after, the American government began to act as if it had already been monitoring the risk behind the scenes. Oman is a historic partner of the United States, has maintained relations with Washington for more than 2 centuries, and has always tried to present itself as a discreet mediator in the Gulf. But mediation has its limits. When an ally starts getting too close to the Iranian regime in the middle of a crisis, discussing passage through Hormuz while Tehran tries to take advantage of the tension, the White House sees an opening for the enemy. Oman and Iran had already held official talks about options to ensure passage through the strait. The public justification was to organize the passage of vessels amid the regional crisis. But this kind of conversation gives Iran a chance to turn the threat into a formal system. Tehran closes off, puts on pressure, negotiates, then tries to reappear as the manager of the very crisis it helped create. Trump realized this move and cut it off before it turned into an agreement with a veneer of legality. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stepped in next. He warned that the United States will not tolerate any effort to impose a toll on passage through Hormuz. The message reached individuals, companies, banks, intermediaries, and any entity that tries to help Tehran set up this disguised toll. Treasury Secretary Bessent also stated that he spoke with the ambassador of Oman and received assurance that Muscat has no plans to charge a fee in the strait. Trump said the Treasury threatened and Oman had to explain itself. The left tries to twist everything. They say that Trump was caught off guard, that he lost allies, and that the Gulf started to slip toward Iran. But what actually happens in practice is something else. If Oman didn't have a plan, now it has put that on the record with Washington. If Iran wanted to use Oman as a bridge, that bridge is now exposed. If anyone thought about turning Hormuz into a toll booth, the American Treasury has already warned that it can cut off the financial route. The economic rapprochement between Oman and Iran also carries weight. The preferential trade agreement signed between the two governments in 2025 opened the door for more trade and more political dialogue. In normal times, this could be presented as regional diplomacy. In the midst of a crisis with the Iranian regime, it becomes a warning sign. The American Treasury ally warned that acting as if the Iranian threat were just a business opportunity could lead to cuts. The Gulf Cooperation Council also came onto the radar. The regional news highlighted Oman's absence from a consultative meeting in April in Jeddah, at a time when the Gulf monarchies were trying to show unity against the use of Hormuz as a bargaining chip. This kind of absence carries weight because in the Gulf an empty chair speaks volumes, while other leaders were seeking a common response. Oman seemed closer to negotiations with Tehran. For Trump, this is not elegant neutrality, it's dangerous ambiguity. Qatar's situation helps to understand the magnitude of the test. Doha had been negotiating with the United States to purchase MQ-9B drones in a deal estimated at nearly $2 billion and is now evaluating more carefully the use of these systems after the American losses in the war against Iran. The anti-Trump narrative tries to sell this as a defeat for American weaponry. The correct interpretation is different. The Gulf allies understood that modern warfare requires smarter use. Qatar wants protection, but also wants predictability. Oman wants to keep a channel open with Iran, but doesn't want to pay the price of American sanctions. The United Arab Emirates are less patient with the Iranian threat. This is the environment that Trump faces. Allies calculating, Tehran trying to divide, China and Russia watching, and Washington needing to show that it still sets the limits. Negotiations with Iran are part of this same game, but the White House has made it clear that it will not accept a fee for passage disguised Iranian control or a loose agreement on the nuclear program. J. Vance stated that there is still no final agreement. This shows that Trump is not rushing to sign papers, which is bad. He holds the pen while gauging whether Tehran will really back down. Iran wants to appear as the winner of the crisis. It wants to say that it resisted, that it forced negotiations, and that now it can take part in managing the Strait. But the American demand dismantles this charade. If the passage is reopened without a fee, without Iranian control, and with American surveillance, Tehran loses the main political weapon it tried to build. If Oman backs down from the idea of charging, the Iranian regime loses its useful ally in the most sensitive part of the move. That's where Trump's loud talk needs to be understood. He didn't threaten on impulse. He imposed a cost where there used to be empty talk. Treasury sanctions are no small matter. Banks freeze, companies back off, intermediaries disappear, and small governments think twice before signing anything that might upset Washington. Trump knows that in the Gulf, a weak statement becomes an invitation to blackmail. The history of the United States helps explain this reaction. Since the beginning of the 19th century, when Washington faced the Barbary pirates in the Mediterranean, the American logic against forced tolls at sea is old. Free navigation cannot become a tribute paid to those who threaten the trade route. Today's situation is different, but the political logic is similar. When a force tries to charge for passage using fear, ships, and military pressure, the United States responds to prevent the precedent from spreading. The recent example of the South China Sea also serves as a warning. Beijing spent years creating a presence, bases, patrols, and legal discourse to turn disputed areas into a zone of influence. In the Black Sea, Russia also used war, blockades, and pressure on routes to extract strategic gains. Trump looks at Hormuz with this lesson. If Iran imposes a toll today, tomorrow another regime will try to establish control in another strait. Now the next move is in the hands of Muscat, Tehran, and Washington. Oman can return to its role as mediator and prove that it will not serve as cover for Iran. Tehran can accept the reopening without tolls and without disguised control, or continue betting on wearing the other side down. Trump can increase sanctions, block commercial networks linked to Iranian oil, and keep military forces ready to prevent the passage from falling under the political control of any regime. I'm Milson Alves, global and international relations analyst, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the truth every day. The news links are in the video description. Like this video, subscribe, and check the comments at the end to stay engaged with the Milson Alves global community.